profound strategic realignment is underway across the European continent. It's a quiet revolution, fought not with armies but with source code and legal policy. Europe is accelerating a historic pivot away from American technology. This is the story of its declaration of digital independence. This movement is coalescing under a powerful banner: digital sovereignty. This isn't a retreat into isolationism, it's a deliberate choice to build a new digital future. A future founded on principles of openness, transparency, and local control. And the primary blueprint for this future is open-source software. But why is this happening now? What lit the fuse on this continental shift? It's driven by a potent combination of geopolitical anxieties and a renewed ambition for economic self-determination. But the core driver is a fundamental, irreconcilable legal conflict, a clash of values between two global powers. On one side, you have Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR. Implemented in 2018, the GDPR is the cornerstone of Europe's digital values. It establishes a fundamental right to data privacy for all its citizens. It imposes strict rules on how personal data is collected, processed, and transferred. It is designed to be the supreme data law within the EU's borders. On the other side, you have the United States Cloud Act. Also passed in 2018, this law has an incredible extraterritorial reach. It grants US law enforcement the power to compel US-based tech companies to provide requested data, regardless of where that data is physically stored in the world. This includes the European subsidiaries of Microsoft, Google, and Amazon Web Services. Do you see the problem? A US company operating a data center in Frankfurt, Germany, could be legally obligated by a US court order to transfer the data of European citizens to US authorities. This would be a direct and total violation of the GDPR. This isn't a theoretical risk, this is the smoking gun. In a hearing before the French Senate, Microsoft's chief legal counsel for France was asked a direct question. He admitted that Microsoft cannot guarantee that data from European authorities will not be transferred to the US government. This admission confirmed every fear. It transformed the reliance on US tech giants from a simple commercial choice into a matter of profound and unavoidable sovereign risk. This legal impasse provides the single most powerful justification for the EU's new imperative. The imperative to build a native digital infrastructure that operates unequivocally under European law. This is where the new geopolitical doctrine of digital sovereignty is truly defined. It is the capacity of a nation to exercise control over its own digital infrastructure, data, and technologies. The urgency is rooted in the sheer scale of Europe's current dependency. An estimated 92% of the Western world's data is stored in the United States. Around 80% of all cloud data is managed by just 5 large tech companies. None of them are European. This concentration of power creates massive vulnerabilities. Economically, it means a huge portion of the projected €2 trillion in digital economy GDP by 2030 could be captured entirely by overseas firms. Strategically, it places Europe's critical public and private infrastructure under the control of entities subject to foreign laws. This is why Europe has chosen a new weapon, an arsenal that is open, transparent, and belongs to everyone. This is why open source is the chosen path. The choice isn't just about reducing costs on licensing fees. It's a deliberate, strategic selection based on unique advantages. First and foremost, transparency and trust. Because the source code is open for inspection, governments and security agencies can audit the software. They can ensure it functions exactly as advertised. And more importantly, that it contains no hidden backdoors or data exfiltration mechanisms. This is the direct antidote to the black box of proprietary systems. Second, control and freedom from vendor lock-in. Proprietary software creates deep, painful dependencies. Users are subject to the vendor's pricing, their update cycles, and their strategic decisions. The recent acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, which led to massive price hikes, was a stark reminder of this risk. Open source breaks this dependency. As one cloud executive put it, with open source, no one can lock you up, no one can take it away from you. If a vendor discontinues a product or changes its terms, the community can simply fork the code and continue development independently. This guarantees long-term control, which is non-negotiable for critical public infrastructure. Third, security through collaboration. It's the principle that many eyes make all bugs shallow. A global community of developers reviewing code can often identify and patch vulnerabilities far more rapidly than a closed team inside a single corporation. And finally, the economic vision. The goal is not just to save money, but to redirect it. It's a plan to foster a native European digital economy, to transform the continent from a technology consumer into a technology producer. A study estimated that a 10% increase in open source contributions could boost the EU's GDP by up to 0.6%. And it could catalyse the creation of over 600 new technology startups. Public money that once flowed to an overseas corporation can now be invested in building local expertise, creating high-skilled jobs, and improving a shared digital commons. This is a declaration of digital independence. But a declaration is one thing, building a new continent of code is another. In Part 2, we'll explore the grand blueprint. We'll see how the EU is forging a new digital union, and we'll meet the pioneers on the ground who are already building it. This movement is not just a collection of disconnected efforts, it is guided by a cohesive, top-down strategy from Brussels. This strategy combines soft power through legislation that shapes the market, with hard power through massive investments in foundational technology. The overarching strategy is the Digital Decade Policy Programme 2030. This sets ambitious continent-wide targets for digital skills, infrastructure, and public services. But the EU's own 2025 State of the Digital Decade report highlights the urgency. It notes that while progress has been made, a substantial portion of governmental digital infrastructure still depends on providers outside the EU. This high-level strategy is supported by key legislation. The Interoperable Europe Act, which came into effect in 2024, is designed to improve cross-border public services by promoting open standards. This directly challenges the closed proprietary ecosystems of legacy vendors. The European Commission even has its own internal open-source software strategy. Guided by the principle "Think Open," it mandates that its own services give equal consideration to open-source solutions in all procurement. But perhaps the most ambitious component of the EU's hard power strategy is Gaia X. It is crucial to understand what Gaia X is and what it is not. It is not an attempt to build a single, monolithic, European hyperscaler to compete directly with Amazon or Microsoft. That's a common misconception. Rather, Gaia X is a much more sophisticated project. It is a framework for a federated, secure and interoperable data infrastructure. One that is built on European values of transparency, data protection and sovereignty. The core goal is to create an ecosystem where data can be shared and services can be offered in a trustworthy environment. An environment where data owners always retain control over their data. It achieves this by defining a common set of architectural standards and open-source components. This allows existing cloud and edge infrastructures all across Europe to connect and become interoperable Gaia X nodes. A company could use a Gaia X compliance service to share sensitive manufacturing data with a partner, confident that the exchange adheres to strict, transparent rules about data usage and residency. This is the EU's effort to build the foundational plumbing for its own digital economy, one that is compliant with European regulations by design, not by exception. But while Brussels provides the blueprint, the true momentum is on the ground. National and regional initiatives are the testing grounds, demonstrating different models of implementation. Let's meet the pioneers. First, we go to Germany and the full-stack revolution in its northernmost state. Schleswig-Holstein has emerged as the most ambitious pioneer in all of Europe. Its approach is a comprehensive, full-stack replacement of proprietary software. The state has committed to migrating 30,000 government computers from Microsoft Windows and Office to Linux-based operating systems and the LibreOffice suite. This is not a future plan. This is happening right now. In a major milestone completed in October 2025, the state successfully migrated its entire email infrastructure, affecting over 40,000 mailboxes and 30,000 employees, from Microsoft Exchange and Outlook to the open-source alternatives OpenExchange and Mozilla Thunderbird. They are replacing Microsoft SharePoint with Nextcloud for collaboration and replacing Cisco WebEx with open-source conferencing tools like Jitsi. The motivation is stated explicitly by officials: digital sovereignty and to regain control of public data. Critically, Schleswig-Holstein is adopting a sophisticated, upstream-only development strategy. This means any custom bug fixes or improvements they develop are contributed back to the global open-source projects. They are not creating a unique, isolated fork of the software. This avoids the high maintenance costs that plagued past projects and ensures their investment benefits the entire community. Now let's look at Denmark, which offers a more focused, pragmatic pivot. The Danish Ministry of Digital Affairs is leading a move to replace Microsoft Office 365 with LibreOffice. It's beginning with a phased rollout to its own employees in mid-2025. The drivers are the same: sovereignty, cost savings, and escaping vendor lock-in. But the Danish approach is characterized by extreme caution. The Minister for Digital Affairs has publicly stated, if the transition proves too complicated, we can revert back to Microsoft in an instant. This pragmatic stance, which prioritizes operational continuity, provides a valuable contrast to more rigid, all-or-nothing approaches. Next, we turn to France with its policy-first, code-forward strategy. France's approach is deeply rooted in a long-standing philosophical commitment to free and open-source software. In May 2025, France became the first national government to formally endorse the United Nations open-source principles. This framework promotes practices like open by default and contributing back to the community. This support is institutionalized. Public platforms like code.gouv.fr host hundreds of open-source tools developed by the state, for the state. Programs like Blue Hats connect public servants with developers. They are fostering a culture that views open source as a civic practice for creating public value, not just a cheaper procurement option. France is building a sustainable, state-supported public code ecosystem from the inside out. Finally, we look at Spain's data-centric model. Spain's approach is unique. It focuses primarily on data rather than specific software. The national strategy centers on the principles of open data and open science. The view is that control and transparency of information is the ultimate foundation of autonomy. Spain has adopted the International Open Data Charter and built a legal framework to mandate that public data be open by default. The cornerstone of this strategy is the datos.gob.es platform. This is a national portal that centralizes access to nearly 100,000 open datasets from all levels of public administration. The goal is to leverage this wealth of open data to improve governance, spur private sector innovation, and provide high-quality, unbiased datasets for developing ethical artificial intelligence. By promoting open data, Spain is building a sovereign foundation at the data layer, arguing that if data is open and accessible, the specific software used to process it becomes a secondary concern. A full-stack revolution in Germany, a pragmatic pivot in Denmark, a policy-led ecosystem in France, and a data-first foundation in Spain. These diverse strategies illustrate that there is no single path to digital sovereignty. It all sounds incredibly promising, an unstoppable continent-wide movement. But this has been tried before. A decade ago, a major European city went all in on open source. It was a global pioneer. And then, in a stunning reversal, it scrapped the entire project and went back to Microsoft. In Part 3, we must confront the challenges. We must face the ghost of Munich and explore the empire's powerful response to this rebellion. We established the why of Europe's sovereignty movement, the GDPR versus CLOUD Act conflict. In Part 2, we explored the how, the EU's top-down blueprints like Gaia X, and the bottom-up pioneer projects in Germany, Denmark, France, and Spain. It looks like an unstoppable wave, but the path to digital freedom is fraught with obstacles, and it's haunted by the ghost of a famous failure. No discussion of this topic is complete without analysing the cautionary tale of Munich. The city was a global pioneer. In 2003, it voted to migrate its desktops from Windows to a custom Linux distribution dubbed Linux. By 2013, the migration was largely complete. Over 14,800 desktops were running on the new system, and the project was estimated to have saved the city over €11 million. It was a massive success story. But the project's fortunes turned with a change in political leadership in 2014. The new mayor was openly critical of Linux. He cited alleged productivity issues and user complaints. Coincidentally, Microsoft also decided to move its German headquarters to Munich around this time. While officially unrelated, this move fueled widespread speculation about intense lobbying efforts. Faced with persistent user dissatisfaction and a total lack of political backing, the City Council voted in 2017 to reverse the entire migration. They would return to Microsoft Windows and Office by 2020. The estimated cost of this reversal? Around €90 million. So what went wrong? Was Linux or open source fundamentally flawed? Number. An independent report found the most significant issues were organizational. They were failures of project management, user training, and political will. This is the human factor, and it's the single biggest blocker to success. A survey of European tech leaders found that 63% cited user resistance and change fatigue as the key impediment to adopting sovereign solutions. Employees who have spent their entire careers in Microsoft Office are deeply invested in its workflows. They are resistant to changing how they work. Without robust, well-designed training programs and clear leadership, this resistance turns into frustration, lost productivity, and even sabotage. It creates a narrative of failure that politicians can use to kill a project. And that highlights the other critical hurdle: sustained political will. These migrations are multi-year projects. They often span multiple election cycles. A new administration, as Munich showed, can reverse years of progress. Beyond the human element, there are massive technical challenges. Chief among them is interoperability. Governments have to exchange documents with citizens and businesses who predominantly use proprietary formats. That one complex Microsoft Word document with special macros, or that intricate Excel spreadsheet with power pivots, can cause the entire workflow to grind to a halt. This fuels the user complaints, and strengthens the resistance. And while open source eliminates licensing fees, it is not free. The total cost of ownership must be calculated. Significant investments are required for migration planning, extensive user training, and dedicated technical support. There's also a public sector talent gap. Attracting and retaining skilled Linux and open source administrators is difficult when government agencies can't compete with private sector salaries. The new wave of pioneers, like Schleswig-Holstein, appear to have learned these lessons. They are emphasizing phased rollouts, user-centric planning, and clear political framing. But intriguingly, the Munich story didn't end there. In May 2020, a new coalition government in Munich, led by the Green Party, once again reversed course. They adopted a policy to prioritize free and open source software, wherever technologically and financially possible. The saga of Munich proves that this battle is not a single event. It is a continuous socio-political process. Now, as this new wave of sovereignty gains critical mass, the dominant US tech giants have not been sitting idle. They have launched a sophisticated and heavily marketed counter-strategy. It's called the sovereign cloud. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are all in. Microsoft has unveiled its EU data boundary. It promises that customer data for core cloud services will be stored and processed only within the European Union. It offers technical solutions like Data Guardian, which ensures remote access is controlled only by personnel residing in Europe. Amazon Web Services has responded with a massive €7.8 billion investment in its AWS European Sovereign Cloud. This is a new, physically independent cloud infrastructure to be located in Germany. AWS promises it will be operated exclusively by EU resident personnel and that all customer data and metadata will remain strictly within the EU. Google has adopted a partnership-centric approach. It collaborates with trusted European partners, like Thales in France, to create locally operated and managed trusted clouds. For its highest security customers, it even offers fully air-gapped solutions. These sound like the perfect compromise, right? European control with American innovation. Well, European sovereignty advocates have a name for this. They call it sovereign washing. It's a marketing exercise that creates the appearance of autonomy without changing the fundamental reality of jurisdiction. The unavoidable truth is that Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are all US domiciled corporations. As such, they are subject to US law. Most notably, the CLOUD Act. That legal obligation, which allows US authorities to compel data disclosure, cannot be nullified by a customer contract or a marketing promise. As Microsoft's own legal counsel admitted, if a valid US order arrives, the company must comply. Critics point to the tech giant's own transparency reports as evidence. In the first half of 2024 alone, Microsoft received over 160 legal orders from US authorities for enterprise customer data. This included data from customers outside the US, and they disclosed data in response to nearly 30% of them. The legal mechanism for extraterritorial data access is not theoretical, it is actively used. From this perspective, the hyperscalers' promises are seen as sophisticated risk mitigation. They are not true sovereignty. The core principle is simple. Real digital sovereignty requires owning and controlling the entire legal, operational, and technical stack. If another entity, subject to another country's laws, holds the ultimate keys, it is not sovereign. So where does this leave us? Europe's push for digital sovereignty has achieved critical mass. The confluence of top-down policy from Brussels and bottom-up action from member states has created an irreversible momentum. This is no longer a debate, it is a practical reality. And the consequences extend far beyond Europe's borders. It is accelerating the fragmentation of the global internet. Europe is forging a distinct third way. It is a model between the market-driven, corporate-led model of the United States and the state-controlled, surveillance-oriented model of China. This European model, founded on regulation, individual rights and open source, is creating a digital sphere with its own rules and standards. This Brussels effect positions the EU as a de facto global regulator. But as this movement matures, a deeper question is emerging. The current focus is on tech sovereignty, which is about empowering the state and companies. But a more forward-looking goal would be a shift to tech citizenship. This concept reframes the ultimate goal. It's not enough to simply replace American technology with European technology. The real challenge is to build a more democratic, accountable, and participatory digital public sphere. A future where citizens have a meaningful say in how the technologies that shape their lives are designed and governed. To be truly sovereign, Europe's digital future must be built not only for its citizens, but by them. This strategic embrace of open source is Europe's most powerful lever. It provides a unique pathway to achieve sovereignty without falling into isolationism. It allows Europe to benefit from a global ecosystem of innovation while retaining local control over its implementation. By championing open standards, Europe has the opportunity to become not just a regulator of technology, but a key architect of the next generation of open, resilient, and trustworthy digital infrastructure for the entire world. This is a story that is still being written, and it's one of the most important stories of our time. This is Freedom AI Solutions. If you're passionate about artificial intelligence and open source tech, you're in the right place. Please subscribe and spread the benefit.